Record. Okay. Well, we give Facebook a minute or two before we get into the good Rex. That's a good Rex on Labor Day. Let's just kind of complain about the weather, shall we? Since everybody else is.
I'm in my air-conditioned home, and I've got plenty of food in my freezer, so
You
I
know
have
what?
nothing to complain about.
I'm not talking to you then, because I'm in an unair-conditioned home and we're having hot dogs in a couple of minutes for Labor Day. So that's my Labor Day. And Amanda
Maybe-
says she's got air conditioning too.
Maybe a
Yes.
cold beer with that hot dog.
I've got
Yeah.
some wine.
I need to put the fan up. I'm gonna look like I'm like in a 80s video or something, because it's just like
Backlit, Sybil Shepherd backlit. with
backlit.
the
I
wind.
mean, like my hair blowing in the wind. It's just like I'm so freaking hot.
Okay, the first thing I thought of was you like on the sports car in the White Snake video. But your
I
hair
thought
needs to
they-
be a lot bigger.
I need bigger hair. I need bigger hair, and I'm not a nut job. She's a cuckoo. Have you followed her like over the years?
I think
No.
she died. Didn't
Honey,
she?
oh, did she?
Tony
Oh,
Katai's dead. R.I.P.
well, never mind.
Can't
Okay,
believe you
never
started
mind.
on it.
I won't talk
I
about
think.
that.
I think.
She
Yeah, she
married
beat
a
up her boyfriend, the
baseball
pitcher,
player. Yeah, he was a baseball player. I think for
Tim
the
Finley.
yeah, yeah,
He was an angel.
Angel. Yeah. So yeah, she kind of went off the rails just a
Uh-oh.
little bit. So,
But
anywho.
El Fuego on top of that car or the pole, wherever she was.
Hey,
on.
it was all that quintessential 80s big hair video. Both of them had big hair. That was good. All right. We got some good stuff to talk about today. So Gabe, it'll go Gabe, Amanda, and I'll just pop in at the end with one. I just have one to talk about today. So Gabe.
Right
go.
on, right on, right on.
Right on.
That
Right
is
on.
to get started, as we used to say in the 70s. This is a really strong novel that I read a long time ago. And it's called On the Rooftop, and it is the story of a family up in Oakland area in the 60s. And it is the era of, Motown is busting out and music, African-American artists are breaking out and not just being covered by white bands. They're starting to do their own stuff. And this is the family and the mother and the dream she has of her family being a success. So we see, those of us who were, and I was a kid when the mid 60s, and a lot of this was going on, but some, the presence of places like the clubs in San Francisco area where everybody was breaking out of, and the clubs on the Sunset Strip here where everybody was breaking out of, all that will become real atmospheric. She does a really great job of putting you into this world back then, and a great story. And it's all about the family love and a celebration of the legacy and the dreams of a family. In this case, a Black family. But the universals are in this book. So it's a pretty aggressive print run for us. It's a big print run. I'm really excited that we took a shot on this particular book because it's a really good story. And it is nothing. It's not a melodrama. It isn't a big message book that's beating you over the head about stuff. It is a really wonderful narrative about family love and family pride and family determination. And I like the quote here: on the rooftop, she urges us to find comfort in the triumphs of our past. And I think people need triumphs, all these little things to keep you going. Anyways, lovely book, great writing. I had never ever read our author before, and I am so excited to share Margaret Sexton's book with you guys.
Okay.
It's on sale tomorrow. Every once in a while I just can't. I mean, I could go on forever. I could just stop. I could just talk about this book all day.
What's her other book? It says
I'm
the
not
author-
familiar with her. The Receivers,
Oh,
but
Okay.
it wasn't with us.
okay.
This is her
No.
first book with us.
And there's nothing that evokes that. I mean, even though you're a little bit older than me, maybe, Gabe, maybe not much.
I'm 63.
Okay,
Sing it
61.
loud. You don't have to say how old you are. I know I'm
61.
older.
I'm loud and proud and old, so 61. But even though we weren't like this, like some of the Motown stuff was a little before us, but we grew up with it. With like, I know you had lots of, I had lots of cousins and older family members, and the music was just what we grew up with, and even as little kids, you know.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah,
evokes,
exactly.
it just evokes these kind of, like, I don't know if this has it, but it's just like it evokes these feelings that are just so great when you hear stuff.
You know, the nostalgia factor
Yeah.
it hit me. I've got a couple of books. I have another book I'm going to talk about down the road about a country singer that is we're publishing in the winter of next year, that has a lot of the same heart that this book has. It's another wonderful telling. But yeah, keep the Salvations is the name of the group, and you will enjoy the ride with the characters that Sexton provides you. And then, like I said, the story is just really well told. It's a great, again, no melodrama, no fireworks, no creature comes out of the deep.
Right.
It's just a really good, strong
Just a good story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good story.
Oh, I cracked up. So Beth, Dr. Dan here. Hi, Beth. She said she accidentally turned on last week's tea time and thought that how it was super impressed that Andrea and Amanda and Tom were joining in. And then she's like, oh, but so happy it's Gabe, a paragon of consistency, she said.
Mr. Overtime.
I know. I love it. Us too. And I forgot to say, Amanda, at the top of the hour. Okay. I am like, the screenshots that happen with me and my face from all of the FaceTime, Facebook and YouTube stuff that I do. Nancy Warwick, even this week, she like sent me a text this morning. She goes, "Your face on the e-blast is so fun." And I'm just like, oh my God. Because I used to not want my face anywhere. I didn't want to be on any online stuff. Now I'm just like all over the freaking place and looking like, yeah. Oh yeah. Wish I looked, yeah, was looking good.
Vogue,
I
baby.
usually have some, my mouth is usually wide open and it's usually like,
Aw.
I mean, that's the image I see when when I'm driving down the road. You're either laughing or saying something.
I'm always talking.
We should make one of those. I don't know what those are called when it's the big picture, but it's made up of a bunch of tiny pictures that are
Yes.
basically the pixels.
Yes,
All right.
of
Just
all of my
all of
faces.
your face.
Thanks. Thanks. It's like I look at our YouTube thing and it's just like, oh my God, you can't have an ego, that's for sure.
Well,
And
you
I-
never know what you're gonna. You never know. I don't know. I've seen people. We have this conversation, and they will remain nameless because you will know some of them. But who like take a picture of you, and somebody will take a picture, and Deb and I might we're like, "Hey, we look great." That somebody else will take the same picture,
Right.
And it's just like, "Oh my God, we look terrible." And I don't know what it is. It's some people just, I don't know what they captured, like that half second too soon.
That
I
half
don't know.
second, that bad half second. Oh my God.
But,
I'm so jealous that both of you have air conditioning right now. I am a mess. I'm like melting. All right. Amanda, what do you got?
All right. This comes out tomorrow. The Marriage Portrait by Maggie
yeah.
O'Farrell.
Is it tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I just finished it this morning. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh man, I only have like
That's the best.
20 pages left. I'm gonna do it. I did.
That's the best.
And then I
Knock it
dreamt
out.
about it after I fell back asleep, which is also awesome. So if you're a Hamnet fan, you should definitely pick up this book. It's in the 1500s, and I'll just read the teaser on the back. In 1560, 15-year-old Lucrezia di Cosimo de' Medici left Florence to begin her married life with Alfonso il Deste, Duke of Ferrara. It was a union meant to unite two Renaissance dynasties. Less than a year later, she was dead. So it's from this young woman's point of view, who gets married off very young, and she's an awesome character. She's an exquisite painter, and that's actually the part of the book that I loved the most was the descriptions of her art. she's also just a badass young character, and it reads like a thriller because of course from the beginning she's gonna die, so you keep waiting for it. And in the beginning of the book, there's a scene where her husband is feeding her, like force feeding her, basically like you're so thin, you need to eat, and she's basically thinking to herself, and that's when I knew he was trying to kill me. So it's a historical fiction novel, but it also reads like a thriller, and I
Yeah, it
really
does.
enjoyed it. It's really good. So
It is
that's-
really good. And here's
Marriage
I'm going to give a caveat. Shh, don't tell anybody. I was not a Hamnet fan. But I loved this one. Now I'm a Maggie O'Farrell fan, so I remember. In fact, I've got some around here. Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox was like my favorite Maggie Farrell book ever. I mean, it's so good.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, you would love it. It's so good. It's from years ago though. Anyways, I loved The Marriage Portrait. Okay, it was one of those where I was Googling. I had the like family charts because at first I was thinking Lucrezia Borgia and had to like switch my brain to De Medici. And so then I got into like, I just went down the rabbit hole with all of the like family trees and all that stuff on figuring out who was happening where. It's really good.
Yeah, and at the end she explicates a little bit like what she bent a little bit for the sake of the story, which is really cool. I love it when authors do that.
I do too. Then because it can't maybe why it's not a novel if it's like it's gonna follow it, because you can't recreate their what they're talking
Thoughts
and
and
thinking
dialogue,
and
yeah.
all that stuff. So it's you gotta extend, but I like it when they kind of correct like this is what really happened or whatever. So anyways, no, it's really good. Marriage Portrait, really good. And I love Beth Johnson's telling me I look like I'm glowing, like a southern. I just love you for saying that. Glowing is a good word for sweating. All right. And Kim's looking forward to The Marriage Portrait. So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
I
good
could
one.
see the moisture just spraying off.
I know, it's like that's how I feel. I feel like if I'm like one of those dogs, like if I shook my head and just be like,
I'm feeling bad for you, Jules.
Gabe, I'm telling you.
You know it, but you're comfortable in your Birkenstocks.
I want Birks. I don't have my Birks on today. I've got no shoes on today.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, what do you got next?
You know what? Also, Hamnet, not a big fan at our house either.
Yeah,
Hamlet.
okay. Yeah, it's just sort of
I hate
like
to say that, but
I know.
I'm a big historical fiction reader, and
Me too.
but I'm going to read this one. I'm going to check this one out.
this one
Really
and
always great.
this one and Matrix. Those were two books that like I
loved Matrix.
slogged through both of them.
I loved Matrix.
Yeah. Everybody,
Yeah.
there's a lot. I was clearly in the minority on both of those books. And that's okay. I don't mind being in the minority, but I was just sort of like, no, for me. My daughter's new, she does, Serena's felt the same way about Hamnet too. Thank you, Serena. My daughter does a page where she recommends books like for her friends and stuff. And so she said, instead of giving like 5 stars or, love it, whatever, she's got either would recommend all-time favorite and then not for me. And it's just like, I've got the not for me. This just wasn't for me. So I love that you put it in the chat, Amanda.
Listen to her.
Don't listen to me. Lots of people love it.
In the minority.
In the minority.
But
All
this
right.
one sounds great.
I think a lot of Lauren Groff readers were probably confused by Matrix.
Oh, no, I was just bored. She was not a character I could give 2 craps about.
Yeah. Yeah,
Away
she was
from the
not.
screwdriver.
She was a very unusual character.
Nobody really had
Not
watching
really,
this.
not really a protagonist exactly.
Right.
Which is interesting because
Yeah. And I love Lauren Groff. I love, but this one just wasn't for me. Okay, we should move on in case I don't know who's watching.
Right. We don't want to be cut.
Sorry, Lauren, if you ever in your wildest dream listen to this.
But big
So
fans.
Karen listened to audiobook of Hamnet and she thought it was brilliant. So see, in the minority. So there we go. Okay. Game's up, right?
Is it my turn?
It's your turn. Coming at you fast and furious.
Whoa, where'd you go? Uh-oh. Shoot. Sorry.
That's all right.
What am I having doing? Did I get rid of my window? No, it's right there. I think I closed it. Sorry.
That's right.
I
Labor Day.
am- and and this is different than Crowdcast, so I'm like, where's everything?
Yeah, what do we do? I know.
Where am I? Where am I?
Who am I?
Luckily, Mr. Technology
is.
here.
There it is.
So this also on sale tomorrow, Electable by Ali Vitali. Subtitle is Why America Hasn't Put a Woman in the White House Yet. As an ally, I need to speak out for my sisters.
Yep.
Why
I can think of a lot of reasons, but I'm curious. To see
well,
what he
she
has
got
to
them
say.
all. She got them all.
Okay.
Patriarchy, misogyny, the same old complaints you've been hearing from women for decades, and it's, I think, magnified. And not without reason. I mean, people are always like going on and on, but women have a hard time getting funded. Women have a hard time being taken seriously. So fundraising is considerably more difficult for something as basic as that.
Mhm.
Why aren't women taken seriously? We had more women in this past election, 2020, like really good candidates. I mean, how's Elizabeth Warren not even up for consideration for president of the United States? How is, I mean, we had okay, so that's my favorite. But she's brilliant, and she's an administrator, and she knows things and how to get things done, and is brilliant, and is no nonsense, and that's what we need. But dismissed, everybody got together, and it's what's the most palatable. And then one weekend we came out, and it's like, okay, we're all Joe Biden fans today, and that's where we all went with, in spite of we voted against Donald Trump. And Joe Biden has been a wonderful legislative president, really successful legislation that he's passing, and he's doing a great job. But very a bunch of noise, but very many qualified women that were running for president, and it was like they weren't even in consideration for the conversation of who's it going to be. It's going to be Biden. Who's the least divisive, but who's what we're most used to. So it is a big deal. Ali Vitali followed. She was covered the election from before day one, and was with a lot of the candidates, and she monitored the media, she monitored the attack, she monitored from both sides. And she'll also mention some Republican candidates who have run for other offices and face some of this, obviously some of the same issues, if not even more. But from Shirley Chisholm on, and Kamala Harris is in a really great spot right now as vice president, and but here we are, hundreds of years later. It took that long for that to happen. So this, I think you really got to take a look at. We all kind of know. I mean, we all know the underlying reasons, but she just does a really good job of you can't deny that there is people actively work against women candidates, and it's very clear. So she touches on all the campaigns and what everybody did and qualifications.
And it's so interesting though. It's like other, first words. It seems like every other country out there that's a part of a force has had a woman leader.
Pakistan has had a woman leader.
I know. Pakistan, India. Let's go back to India. Let's go to Germany. Let's go to England. Let's go to,
I mean, England's a big, powerful nation. I mean,
right.
major economic force, major power.
Right. Margaret Thatcher. And I just don't. We think that we're so, we're the pioneers and we're the, we're going to lead, we're the lead. And it's just like, we're so backwards on some of that.
No, there's a lot of hate towards women in America. There is, I mean, we see the way the policies that come out.
Right.
From, there's absolutely.
It almost feels like the old days. I can't remember what I was on when we were, maybe it was this, we were talking about, 1600 and witches and like men who were just afraid. And it's just like, that's kind of what I feel like. It's just like scared men. I don't know. But then here's the deal though. This is the thing too, though, that I find really interesting about the conversation on that is women who don't support women. You can talk about, half this country, and if there was a candidate that every woman wanted to vote for, she'd get in.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's the thing where I find that is even more interesting than just this straight conversation about misogyny, you know.
I mean, we saw it in the last election. We were having
Liz
this
Truss,
conversation
yeah.
earlier with, Trump alienated with his rhetoric and his actions and his corruption and everything. They were like, he's alienated the white college educated woman, so they're not going to turn out. He's going to lose that segment of his audience. And what happened? More came out than ever and voted for him,
I know.
against their own interests.
I know. I don't get it.
Mhm.
I don't get it.
And everybody
So-
saw what was coming, and
Yeah.
and even more so,
Yeah.
that's within education.
I don't know. It's
So-
it's really something.
Yeah, women
don't know.
against women. It's just like I hear a lot of no, we're not. I mean, I've actually heard women say we're not ready for that. Jaw dropping.
Jaw dropping. I mean, yeah. Anyways, we could go on and on this subject.
Yeah, but I think it's a great,
It's a great
it's like
book.
you think it's a, you think maybe it's a good Vanity Fair article, but there's just so much meat in here.
Yeah.
That and so much reference.
Well,
Unless you
that's
get a
the whole
really
thing that, we all just have to keep educating ourselves in this. And one of the things everybody was saying, it was kind of not an easy answer, but talking about, going back to your local elections and stuff. And I've been thinking more and more about that. And it's like, you know what? That is where a lot of the trouble starts. School boards, local, it's like, maybe that's what I'm going to do in my second. I'm going to go, what would be your Carlsbad representative?
There you go.
Oh, I could
I'd
see
vote for
that,
you.
Julie.
I'd
Yeah.
vote for you.
I'm going to go.
Honest Jules.
Honest Jules. I wouldn't get past the first. I couldn't probably do a town hall. I'd be yelling at everybody, telling them they're fucking idiots. Oops. They're idiots. See?
Too much passion. And they also do background checks. So
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh,
I want to
my
make a
husband
difference.
And my husband, we're out. We're out.
I want to make a difference, but a background check. I'm good.
Background check. Oh, can't do that. All right. Next. Okay.
I think you're up, Amanda.
I love shocking Amanda. It's always so much fun watching her eyes bug out. So great. Okay, Amanda, what do you got?
This is I'm gonna stick mostly with historical fiction today. This is
Kim,
a
I
book
love it.
called Winchelsea. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, by Alex Preston. And it's in the 1700s, and this character, a young woman, again, she's grown up, and her father is a smuggler. And at the beginning of the story, he's captured and murdered in front of her, basically. And she ends up joining this world that he was in as a smuggler, and her ultimate goal is revenge. And so along with her brother, she basically becomes a pirate, even though she's a noble woman by birth, a gentlewoman. And it's also a little bit genderqueer, which is interesting and cool in a book like this. And there's a really awesome quote from the actor Tom Holland. He says, "Imagine Daphne du Maurier crossed with Quentin Tarantino, and you will have some idea of just what a thrilling, bloody, and heady ride this novel is." So I loved it. I loved it a lot. It's from Canongate, a UK publisher, and I think it's one of Andrea's books, actually.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sounds fun.
I know, it
Yeah.
does sound really fun. So who was
I
the
love
person you
pirate
said?
stuff.
Quentin Tarantino. Who was the other person besides Quentin Tarantino that you compared to?
Daphne du Maurier.
Oh, okay, okay.
Rebecca.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Oh, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
like
and
it.
Tom Holland is really cool. I'm not a huge celebrity follower, but
He's pretty cool.
I saw him do his lip sync battle of that song Umbrella. If anyone has seen that out there, and I
The best.
I was like, am I gay? I'm gay. I'm in love. Like he made me gay. Yeah, you have to watch it if you haven't seen it.
It's worth
All
watching.
right. You might have to put the link on. You might have to put the link for us.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Do it. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Because he was with his girlfriend, Zendaya.
Yeah, and I think it was before they were together, and her face, like, you see her realize first off she's lost. Like he completely spanked
Oh,
her
yeah.
in this competition. And then you see like, oh, I'm in love.
I'm in love with this is my man.
He seems to be great. I've seen him on the Graham Norton show. He was fun in the Spider-Man movies. I'm like,
Yeah.
who's this little tiny guy? And
Mhm.
he's hilarious. And he's a pretty good dancer.
Yeah, super smart, super
The Graham
articulate.
Norton show is my candy, man. I love
enough.
watching that. Can
I
I
watch,
get
like,
enough?
I watch trailers like I'll sit down and watch like a half hour.
Me too.
You know?
And another one, Ryan Gosling is another just like great person on that show.
Yeah, he's been funny on that show. I just saw him with his,
He's done a lot.
I just saw Ryan Gosling trailer the other day with him.
It was pretty good. All right, lightning round. I'll jump in on lightning round at the end.
I will jump in now head first.
All right.
And make it quick.
Oh,
Louise Erdrich's last book, The Sentence. She came off the Pulitzer Prize for her previous book, Night Watchman. She's been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for The Last Report of the Miracle of Little No Horse, which is just one of my absolute favorite books of all time. And she won the National Book Critics Circle Award in 1986, I think, for Love Medicine, her debut novel. So I've been reading Louise Erdrich for a long time. And she started off with these really dense trilogy tracks, The Bee Queen and Love Medicine, masterpieces. And then when she hit her stride with The Last Report of the Miracle of Little No Horse and that group of books there with some really fun, familiar characters. And then she just like became her most accessible with The Roundhouse, which was really like such an accessible read. And that got her like another Pulitzer nomination. So we're not messing around here, and it's coming out. It's the latest. It's a lot of fun. There's a ghost story in here. It's a woman's relentless errors. It's very funny, but it takes place in a bookstore, and it is and Louise owns a bookstore in Minneapolis, and there's the ghost of their least favorite, most obnoxious, annoying customer.
oh, I love it.
Dies, and she starts haunting the bookstore. And then the latest hire, who is a young woman who's actually been in jail, working to get her life back together in the bookstore. And she's a great character. She proactively starts working on getting rid of the ghost, and it is just a really fun literary novel.
Yep.
It's the best of all worlds. You sit down with a Louise Erdrich book, and she does some books that are heavy, like The Roundhouse. But her voice is just amazing, and her writing's amazing. And I keep saying in 40 years and 100 years, you're going to be reading Fitzgerald, you're going to be reading Erdrich, you're going to be reading Hemingway, and she's going to be on the list.
Yep.
And just a great body of work. And I've been lucky to work with her for a long time, and excited that she's killing it. And this book's already flying off the shelves. It goes on sale tomorrow, and it's been pre-ordered. And
well, I
it's
think
moving fast.
we ran out of the hardcover like a lot, all the time. We were running out of the hardcover.
People bought this hardcover. It was like, okay, she's coming out the Pulitzer, and her sales have been building, and everybody bought more than Louise Erdrich than they'd ever bought. And the book's released on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I spent the day fielding phone calls. I'm sorry, we're out of stock. And it was at the beginning of all the troubles, and we were out of stock for I think like 6 weeks or something, and still sold a ton. But she's
It's still sold a ton, yeah. But now it's
She's a
paperback,
treasure.
so good.
Yes.
So, and Kim says on here, she's in capital, such a great book. Erdrich just keeps getting better and better. So Kim has to say. So
Thank you, Kim.
we concur, Kim. As a Minnesota, it was Beth saying it was like reliving 2020 in real time between COVID, George Floyd's murder, and protests. Yeah, it was cuckoo in that year. Okay, Amanda, what do you got?
I'm just laughing because I think probably booksellers across the country all like can immediately remember, like know their most annoying bookstore customer.
PTSD, baby. PTSD. Everybody thinks working in a bookstore, it's like you got no idea.
They walk in the door and you're just like,
And you go in the back. You go in the back.
Yep.
Little inside secrets.
it's like agent, there's somebody looking for you.
I know. Yeah.
Yes,
We need help on the floor. Not me.
Yeah. I can have a pretty good poker face, but sometimes I
Oh.
I fail.
I'm horrible. It's like I get my dead shark eyes. So it's like,
I just want to bite your head off.
all right, Amanda, what do you got?
This came out last week. It's The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton.
Oh,
Yeah, if y'all remember The Miniaturist,
mhm.
and which I loved the book so much. It was a while ago.
Wasn't that yours, Gabe?
Was?
Miniaturist? Yeah.
Yeah, we sold a ton. It was a really nice surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, great book, great historical fiction. So The Miniaturist was made into a PBS series, which I have not watched, but I hear is really good. So this is the New York Times did a good review of this yesterday. They said basically it's pretty tough with sequels, especially if your book's been made into a show. And so they basically said this is not as good as The Miniaturist, which may be so. But I couldn't put this down. I kept reading through. I didn't want to go to sleep because the characters are so endearing. So it is a follow-up to the first book, and it's another young woman coming of age, trying to decipher family secrets and her own identity because she is Dutch African in Amsterdam in the 1700s, which is hard for a lot of people to understand. And she gets in with the wrong kind of young man at the theater, and the miniaturist is a character in this book. So there's this strange, creepy presence in the book, and it's really good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So that's the follow-up to The Miniaturist, The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton.
All right. I know this book doesn't probably need a lot of plugging, but we're hosting her on Wednesday. We're doing a lunch and I get to interview her. It's just so good. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody who are US Open fans that are out there, but if you've been watching the US Open and if you're watching Serena Williams and her retirement and just all the behind the scenes stuff that's going on with tennis, and if you like tennis at all, it's so good. It's just so good because it's just Carrie Soto is obviously loosely based on Serena Williams, but it's just the way it came together with Serena announcing her retirement like at the beginning of August. This book comes out August 30th, all the stuff that's going on with her retirement at the US Open. It was just all these like little things aligning. So anyways, Taylor's a great writer. She writes dialogue probably better than anybody. And it's just one of those quick, I think you kind of have to like tennis. It's not one of those that the story's like so compelling on its own. It is, but you have to have a little bit of interest in tennis, even if it's just watching it, Beth Johnson thinks it was amazing. Oh, you're going to be at Santa Luz. Yay. Okay. There we go. And know nothing about tennis. Okay, Karen has 2 left feet and knows nothing about tennis, but loved it. So there you go. I'm wrong on that. It's like, yeah, I wasn't sure because I do love tennis. So I wasn't sure whether I was liking it because of that. Because I just found it fascinating. So anyways, it was such a good read. So unfortunately, our evening event is sold out. But we probably will have signed copies after our event. So if you wanted a signed copy of it, put that in the notes when you order it, and maybe not order it till after Wednesday or Thursday. So anywho, that's my little plug for Carrie Soto. Yeah.
Well, can I mention one more book real quick?
Sure.
Cheating, Pulling a Gabe.
Gabe's going to mention one more too then.
I just wanted to mention this book that Julie loved. I loved it too.
Wasn't it good? Isn't it good?
it's such an amazing collection of short stories, and it's a debut author who is 80 years old, which is rad. Like, and it just any book that makes you think twice about people you see on the street. Like, you see a person, oh, that's just an old woman, how sweet and lovely. Yeah, I mean, old women are also complex human beings who
And were
have
badasses when they were younger.
badass, salacious, interesting stories. And also some of the stories are almost Ray Bradbury-esque, or like maybe even Octavia Butler feelings, or
Yes.
like
Yeah, you're
or
right.
Shirley Jackson. Like, this is an extraordinary book. It's really good. So that's Cat Brushing by Jane Campbell.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah,
Getting a lot of attention.
really good.
It
Getting a
was
lot of
one of those,
attention.
and
Here
it was
comes
one
Gabe.
of those. Oh, there's Jessie Burton.
Ooh.
There's the other one.
Oh, what's this?
This is her second book that she did with us,
Oh,
which some people are not aware of, but they are now. Thanks for the inspiration, Amanda.
I didn't know.
Oh, Beth Doherty. She ordered Cat Brushing. Beth, it's so good. It was the one that made me realize that I didn't really need to read short stories like all in a row. I could just like kind of, they could be filler, sort of like palate cleanser between a couple books kind of thing. Cause I would always read them like back to back. I loved Cat Brushing. I thought it's you're right. It's a little salacious. It's got some things going on that you're like, ooh, okay. Cool. So, yay. All right. I need to go like put my head in like a bucket of ice water.
Brace
Yeah.
yourself for the next few days, Drew. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
everybody
tough
be
window.
careful, hydrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take care
Yeah.
of yourselves.
Sit somewhere cool and read a good book.
Yeah, take care of your flesh prisons.
All right. All right, everybody. See you all next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye all.
Bye.